He's been in hiding for 10 years. A father who couldn't be with his children growing up. His child was already 10 years old when he saw him again. She is a persistent wife who has been petitioning for her husband's justice for 10 years. In order to seek justice for her husband, how much heartache has she endured? The time is October 16, 1999. The place is Pengshui County, Chongqing, China. Villagers Zheng Xiaofeng and Wang Xiaozhong were buying cigarettes when they had an argument with a staff member, Li. Zheng Xiaofeng and Wang Xiaozhong had just celebrated a friend's birthday and were both drunk. As Li insisted that Zheng Xiaofeng return the 20 yuan he owed him, the two sides first argued and then lost control of the situation. Li fell 6 meters from the ground from the second floor, finally causing intracranial hemorrhage, and died. Zheng Xiaofeng and Li was a colleague. After waking up to the news of Li's death, Zheng Xiaofeng was horrified. But a big mistake has been made. The consequences cannot be undone, out of fear of having to pay for murder. Zheng Xiaofeng, 22 years old at the time, could not take care of his 10-month-old child and his father, who was seriously ill, and embarked on a long road to escape. After the murder, Zheng Xiaofeng and Wang Xiaozhong disappeared without a trace. Pengshui County Public Security Bureau also organized a large number of police forces to investigate the case at that time. In the past few years, detectives often went to the two suspects' homes to investigate, inquiring whether they went home for the New Year's holidays, and also monitored their homes, but the two were nowhere to be found, as if they had disappeared from the world. Meanwhile, the wife of the victim, Li Mo, is suffering terribly. Because of the unfortunate death of her husband, the murderer is at large. The wife's heart is very difficult to calm down. From 1999 to 2008, the local police had received many petitions from the victim's wife. Every time they met this persistent woman, the police officers handling the case were suffering and under pressure. But when the case occurred, the first time failed to solve the case. After 10 years things are different. The suspect may have changed their faces, so the case can still be solved. In the face of the expectant gaze of the victim's family, the police felt that the public security organs should not evade the pressure. March 2009. A special operation to restart the backlog of cases created a turnaround in the solving of this case. Chongqing Municipal Public Security Bureau launched a citywide campaign to solve outstanding cases and catch fugitives. The city's best crime solvers and other operational departments of the Public Security Bureau were mobilized to help the grassroots public security organs solve unsolved cases, especially murder cases, that had not been solved over the years. In this case, the political department of the Chongqing Municipal Public Security Bureau undertook the task, and the police reorganized a special task force to solve this 10-year-old murder case. The police had a 139-page case file in their hands. Investigators took all the names mentioned in the case file, no matter if they were bystanders, victims, or suspects, and made a comprehensive comb of their social relationships. Then the investigators went to the crime scene once again. After 10 years of field visits, several police officers from the task force were very impressed. They also began to understand the difficulties of the grassroots police in solving crimes. The crime site, Daya Township, is only 80 kilometers away from the county seat. But due to the rugged foothills, vehicles and oncoming vehicles must pick a place to meet during the journey. Investigators traveled more than 3 hours to reach the destination. Because this is a mountainous area with many ethnic groups, the investigators also encountered a lot of resistance in the investigation here. Eventually, through heart-to-heart conversations with Zheng Xiaofeng's family, the task force learned an unexpected piece of news. Zheng Xiaofeng had come back in October 2008 when his father passed away. Zheng Xiaofeng's father was a respected doctor in the area. Ever since his son fled the country, he had fallen ill, and until his death in 2008, he had not gotten any news about Zheng Xiaofeng. The news that Zheng Xiaofeng had returned surprised and delighted the task force. From Zheng Xiaofeng's act of going home to honor his father's memory, family love is a breakthrough in the case. The task force decided to focus on the relatives of the two suspects, especially those who had been overlooked in the past. Another suspect, Wang Xiaozhong's sister, lives in Guizhou province, and the investigators communicated with her several times. Finally, the task force learned from her that Wang Xiaozhong might be hiding in Wenzhou, Zhejiang province. After the investigators rushed to Wenzhou, with the great assistance of the Wenzhou police, it only took 8 hours to find Wang Xiaozhong's place of residence. But the man who was captured did not recognize himself as Wang Xiaozhong. He said he called himself by another name. Finally, when he met the vice captain of the criminal police in his hometown, the vice captain asked him in his hometown language if he recognized who I was. He was silent for a while, then admitted that he was the escaped murderer, Wang Xiaozhong. Through interrogation, Wang Xiaozhong admitted that he had been working in Wenzhou for 10 years, and that before his arrest, he had been a department head in a factory producing knives, and had gained the trust of his boss. But he said he had no idea about the whereabouts of the other suspect, Zheng Xiaofeng. He said he had no knowledge of the whereabouts of the other suspect, Zheng Xiaofeng, because they hadn't been in touch since the day they went on the run. Zheng Xiaofeng went on the run when his son was 10 months old. Then his wife left home, leaving the care of his son to his brother Zheng Xiaohua. 10 years ago, when he learned that his brother had committed a murder while drunk. He used to love his brother, but this time, he slapped him hard. He never heard from his brother after that. When his father died, the grieving brother didn't talk to Zheng Xiaofeng because he still blamed his drunken brother for the murder. But his brotherly love kept him waiting for his brother to come back.
已经给那个电话已经用了10年了，真的，一直不联络。为什么？我就是想得到他联系我，好联系。为什么我好多他变联系我呢？我也好通知他回来自首是哈，因为我把电话变了，他又不敢跟别人打电话，所以他只能联系我的电话。
During the past 10 years, Zheng Xiaohua heard that his brother had appeared in Chongqing working in a factory. So he went to Chongqing and searched for 2 months, but in the end, he didn't get any news about his brother. What saddens Zheng Xiaohua the most is that his nephew is growing up, but his personality is becoming more and more withdrawn. In order not to let the child's young heart hurt, Zheng Xiaohua has been letting his nephew call him dad, but the child will never take the initiative to talk to him. Over the past 10 years, Zheng Xiaohua has loved her nephew more than her own child, but the child has always felt disconnected from the family, and has never been able to genuinely integrate into the family. April 26, 2009. Zheng Xiaohua suddenly received an unfamiliar call. The phone showed that the caller was from Guangdong.
我的电话是个来电显示哈，就现在那个广东东莞，喊我一接，他的声音比的还是弟兄的嘛，有还是面的声音比较熟悉哈。好，他又他喊哥哥，他说我想回来自首，我呢完全可以，我完全支持你。
On April 26th, Zheng Xiaohua embarked on this special trip to Guangdong. He was going to pick up his brother, who had been on the run for 10 years, back home. It's a 2-day and 1-night drive from Pangshui to Guangzhou. Zheng Xiaohua was in a state of conflict, because returning would mean his brother would have to go to prison to serve his sentence. But if he let his brother continue to run away, the condemnation of his brother's conscience would never end. But to come back voluntarily to face the wrongdoings he had done in the future, after his release, there is still the possibility of reuniting with his family. This is the scene where Zheng Xiaohua brought her brother to the police station to turn himself in. Another person brought in that day was the son of the criminal Zheng Xiaofeng. He's been on the run for 10 years, and his son is 10 years old now. In such a reunion scene, although the criminal Zheng Xiaofeng felt that he lacked the dignity of a father, but he finally took this difficult step bravely. His son, in the end, also took the initiative to call him dad, which completely broke him down and made him cry bitterly. But after calming down, he still felt relieved.
一个对社会有用的人，并且是一个堂堂正正的男人， 虽然我不是一个很魁梧的一个男人，但是我从心理上去做一个堂堂正正的男人。
This is the voice of a suspect who's been on the run for 10 years. Even when his father died, suspect Zheng Xiaofeng only came back for a few hours. Why did he suddenly decide to go home and turn himself in? What has he been through in these 10 years? According to Zheng Xiaofeng account, after the crime in 1999, he fled to Guizhou, Guangdong, Zhejiang, Inner Mongolia, and other places, working under a false identity to make a living. Carrying a heavy burden, every day he seemed to be overwhelmed by the pressure. He even had thoughts of suicide many times. During these days of fleeing, Zheng Xiaofeng longed to see his acquaintances and friends from the past, hoping that they would bring some news about his family. But in order to hide his identity and continue to flee, he was most afraid of meeting people who knew him. In Wenzhou, he once met a fellow villager. He recognized him and called out his name. The sensitive Zheng Xiaofeng walked away without looking back. In April 2009, Zheng Xiaofeng was surfing the internet when he happened to see that the Chongqing Public Security Bureau was launching a special operation to crack down on a wanted case. Especially when he saw the news that the task force had captured the suspect Wang Xiaozhong, he was very shocked. He realized that his life on the run would not be long, so the idea of going home to give himself up was born on June 2, 2009. The victim's wife, who had learned that the case had been solved, came to the police station once again. This time, she came to thank the persistent members of the task force. Also showed a long-lost smile on her face. Reporters in the process of interviewing Zheng Xiaofeng, Case Mind has always had such a question. That is, why a case 10 years have not been able to solve to this year? The time has changed, but can be detected it. All the interviewees, their common answer is that almost all cases are not infallible. As long as there is a determination to solve the case and a sincere sense of responsibility to the victim, sooner or later, even the most difficult cases can be solved. Well, thank you for watching today's program. You have something to say? Welcome to leave a message below. We will see you next time.